Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Launch Codes Football. I'm Chris W.
I'm Chris P.
And I'm Chelsea, still in third, even after our extended break.
Taru, third wheeling. How do you feel?
Nothing surprises me anymore.
That's true. Anyways, today, guys, we are talking about the 2024 off season. It's been a crazy set of days with a lot of things going on, and we're going to talk about some of it. We're not going to be able to get to every single bit of it, and who knows, maybe something crazy happens even while we're recording, because 'tis the nature of recording. The best things happen after you've uploaded. So we're just going to go straight into it. Um, we have a few different topics that each of us picked out that we wanted to talk about. So I think we should start with Mr. Chris, because we love his hot takes. So Chris,
Thank you.
I see you have a couple of topics you wanted to speak about here, and I think you're passionate about one of these here. Um, would you
Um,
care to explain?
sure. Yeah. So I know I went last season, went on off on the Panthers, and they have basically scrapped their whole entire defense and said, "Hey guys, let's put on some second-rate defense people and give away all of our top players." So, I was a bit scared because last year we were offered 3 first-round picks for Brian Burns and two, my bad. Um, and then the GM said, "Oh yeah, we'll resign him. We'll give him, a good contract." And he waited, and then unfortunately he got let go. Um, and well, when let go is fired because I mean, he was a crazy dude. But that being said, recently in a couple of weeks, Brian Burns was sent to the Giants. And the Panthers were compensated for a second round draft choice, 39 of this year, and next year's fifth round selection. So, and they're swapping the fifth round. So, massively degraded in sort of just trading Brian Burns. I think I would have thrown it in the bag at this point, but apparently the Panthers want to give him away for free. So I'm I think this is an L on the Panthers and dub on the Giants, even though the Giants have a massive cap on Daniel Jones, who might ride the bench, depending on how the Giants want to play with their quarterbacks. So Brian Burns, he got what he wanted, and he went to probably a very good um, defense now. I expect Brian Burns to pop off with the Giants, and the Panthers unfortunately replaced him with a few other people. And yeah, I don't think this is the best trade out of the season for the Panthers, unfortunately. So, what do you think, Chris, as you have the Michael Jordan crying in your background?
Everything if you're a good player and you come to the Panthers, you will not retire as one. That's just how it goes. If he's good, they're gone. That's how it works. I saw some fan honestly say, I hope this guy from that they signed from Dallas, this defensive tackle, isn't that great because otherwise we're going to lose him. He's going to be gone. I mean, it's not wrong. If you look in the past, it's been Christian McCaffrey, it's been DJ Moore, it's been Brian Burns. If you go back further, it's been Cam Newton. If you go back further, I guess
Steve
um
Smith,
Greg
Steve
Olson.
Smith, yep. Greg Olson did not, well,
well, he
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 went
came
to the
back.
retired.
Sea, but he went to the Seahawks. He didn't stay with the Panthers his whole career.
Well, he parted ways.
Yeah.
But he did play for the Seahawks for a short time.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a
So
backup.
Still, I mean, he didn't spend 100% of his career with Carolina.
That's true.
anyways, it's just the truth. If you're good, you're not staying there.
Julius
Um
Peppers, but he did come back.
he
But
did
then,
come back.
but then
So
we also got the
Oh,
older
DJ
Julius
Moore, he's
Peppers.
out.
yeah, no, DJ Moore. So all of these guys, I mean, it keeps happening. So it's like at some
McCaffrey.
point, when
Frankie Louvu.
when do um we just say this is not surprising. I don't blame our current GMs for the trade because if you actually look at the history of the NFL with franchised players, um, there's never been a first rounder traded in that case. So it's like, okay. And I don't blame Dan Morgan for this trade necessarily because it wasn't what makes it bad is the fact that they denied 2 first round picks. Um, but that wasn't his fault. That was the previous GM's fault. I feel like that's what makes this the worst.
I will
I
say
still,
though, you can blame Dan Morgan for not just signing him to a deal.
yes.
You
The
can blame
only
him for
thing is
that.
though, Brian Burns wanted 30 million a year, which he got. He got with New York, and I don't think he's worth quite 30 mil a year.
I
Um,
mean, I think it's worth an argument, but that's the reality of the league. If you want to keep a high level pass rusher, you have to shell out. I mean, he's had more good years than bad. And last year he had what,
mhm.
8.5 sacks, which on most teams is pretty good. It was just bad for him because they know what his ceiling is. So honestly, I'm of the opinion they should have just paid him, kept him, built around him, and then if he ended up being bad, just ate it later. So you can blame Morgan for not paying him, but I agree. I don't think you can blame him for the trade. He wasn't the one who denied 2 firsts.
Yeah, I mean, because when they denied 2 firsts, you thought, okay, that means 100% we have to sign him. Like you will never get a better offer than that. And then they didn't, which is yeah, it's on Scott Fitterer. He wasn't a good GM. He's gone now. So,
I mean,
there you go.
technically they paid him and then traded him. So technically he's getting paid overall.
I mean, they
But
paid him on the
yes,
tag, but they didn't give
correct.
him like a big
Oh
deal
no.
like the Giants did.
Oh no. No, the Giants, the thing is, that's how it is. I think he is, yeah, one can make the case, oh well, he have had an exceptional year. Well, the Panthers, now look where he's left. We've left a massive hole in the defense. Basically getting rid of Chin, Luvu, Gross Matos. It's like these people that are just leaving. It's like we have Horn now, right? And he plays maybe 1 or 2 games and then gets hurt and then we'll be out next 4 games. So you're like, all right, well, our corners aren't having a good situation. Our middle linebacker situation, I mean, he's not the top tier. He's more of a run stuffer now. But even so, like you have Brian Burns who gives at least some sort of pressure, and he could have done the same job,
Hmm.
but at a higher pace, So I think this is just a downgrade. They said let's downgrade the defense and let's try to bolster our offense, which don't get me wrong, offense, maybe they're taking a play out of the Chiefs, but the reason why the offense is doing so well is because they have a good quarterback, not because they have a good O line or, it's the quarterback that's inflating that. Because, like, look at CJ Stroud. They were supposed to be one of the worst teams out there, and he's made them one of the best teams, and they're
Yeah.
building around him instantly. Maybe I would say they're Super Bowl contenders going to be. So if CJ Stroud continues to play like that. So it's just like Bryce Young, what to expect. And this is another hot take I'm going to say. I'm going to say if Bryce Young doesn't do well this year, I say that the staff Canales should just move on and we'll get a quarterback. Yes, you did. This is a first round pick. And yes, you gave up a lot, but if he's not panning out and you're going to eat dirt for the next couple of years, you might as well see the next draft class and say, all right, is this a quarterback round? And if there's a good quarterback that's standing out and there's a first pick him and say, Bryce Young, sorry, but you got to go. We're building around someone. And Canales has a good rap in making quarterbacks and understand this. He is walking into a terror. He's walking in with Bryce Young saying and Tepper saying, "Hey, he's our quarterback." And I think Canales needs to look at Tepper and say, "Hey, this is not my quarterback. Get him out of here." So that's what my hot take is that they're gonna, if he does do well, they'll keep him. But if he doesn't do well this year, I think they need to move on and try to rebuild around a different dude.
I mean, just to backtrack a little bit in regards to the Chiefs actually have an above average offensive line. And yeah, their wide receivers were buns for most of the year, but they showed up when it mattered. Two things that the Panthers do not have. And they also had the greatest defense they'd ever had with Mahomes. Again, something the Panthers don't have. So, I mean, obviously Mahomes makes that offense. I mean, you have Kelsey, arguably the greatest tight end of all time, or at least top 3. So, I mean, they have a lot of pieces that the Panthers can't even come close to claiming. However, I do agree about Bryce Young, but the reality about this year, he is the guy. Whether Canales wants him or not, he doesn't have a choice. He is the guy. So he might not be his guy, but he's the guy this year. And if anyone is going to fix him, it's probably going to be Canales. I mean, look what he did with Baker Mayfield. Everyone gave up on Baker Mayfield. No one gave him a chance. And he went to Tampa. They took a chance on him, and look how he panned out. So, I mean, there is hope for Bryce Young. Also, keep in mind, Bryce Young lost his head coach, 6 games into the season? He was operating under interim coaches for most of his rookie year. He had no consistency. His whole team was bad. Like, they got rid of DJ Moore before he even got there. Like, obviously, you can put a lot of blame on Bryce Young being the first overall pick. Like, come on, dude. You got to, pick it up. I mean, look what CJ Stroud did with the Texans. They were thought to be the worst team in the league when they took him. And now all of a sudden they're at minimum playoff contenders. Like, come on. So, he has to play better. But to put all the blame on Bryce Young, I just think is just unfair, honestly.
I think the re-signings of all the whole entire O-line is a big thing because they are paying bank to all the O-line saying, hey,
Yeah.
you're getting replaced, you're getting replaced, you're getting replaced. And that's the thing. I think it's this year is okay, is it the O-line's fault or is it the person throwing the ball behind
Yeah,
them? So I think
agree.
this will be a show of whose fault. I think Canales is doing a great job. It will do a great job of showing is it him or the O-line? And
Yeah.
I
maybe
agree with that.
maybe we'll see where it takes them. But I
And
know I'm getting off topic, but I think that's those are good signings, not re-signings, but for free agencies.
yeah, and I mean, I know that a lot of Panthers fans weren't in love with those offensive line signings, like if you look at their rankings and ratings and things like that. But you cannot say that at minimum the Panthers are trying. It
Oh,
would be much worse if they signed no O linemen. You can't fault them for not trying. They are at minimum trying. Now, are
like
they overpaying people? Obviously. But at least they're trying. I mean, at least they're not just leaving him with what he had last year. I know the signings aren't the best in the league, but at least they tried. I mean,
Look,
we'll
we could
reflect back on this in a year and say they were terrible. Why did they sign them? But now, without that retro, reflection, at least they're trying. I mean,
we could be the
Mhm.
Cowboys and not sign anyone. Oh wait, my bad.
All in. All in, baby. Um, no, here's the thing. Just quickly, I think, and I saw this post and I agree with it wholeheartedly. When you're as bad as the Panthers are, you have to overpay to get good people to want to come there.
or
You just have
anyone.
to. So,
That's fair.
yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for that. That was good commentary on that. So let's move on to the next person here. Chelsea, do you want to talk about um Mr. Derrick Henry? Actually, no, I feel like you wanted to talk about Danielle Hunter because this is a big signing for Houston.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So Houston, that was a really good signing for them. I mean, they lost a premier pass rusher in free agency. And I was stoked that they lost them. I was like, yes, it's going to be so much worse. And then there were all these rumors going around about the Colts, calling up Danielle Hunter's agent, talking to him and trying to sign him, whatever, going to get $25 million a year, et cetera, et cetera. And I guess it just ended up falling through and they didn't want to shell out that much money to a 29-year-old, which can I blame them? I guess not. But that was a kick to the teeth. I would have been quite excited if we had gotten him. And our D line wasn't even bad last year. I mean, we had one of the best D line performances last year that we had probably had in 10 years. So I mean, it's not like we needed him, but he's so premier that it would have been great to have. But ultimately, he didn't end up coming here. The Texans replaced Greenard with him, which probably is an upgrade. Perhaps not in age, but in talent, it probably is. Greenard is still progressing and getting better. But no, that's a really good signing for Houston. I am personally of the opinion that Houston has a lock on the AFC South right now, even before the draft in this upcoming year. Don't really think you can argue against Stroud. We all know that the Titans aren't going anywhere, even with, some of the signings that they did. And they've signed a lot of people, but with Will Levis at quarterback, I mean, we've only seen very little of him, so it's possible that he could still be good, but I just have a feeling that he's not really going to be. And you can say the same thing about Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson only played a game and a half last year. Anthony Richardson is still relatively unproven. So, I mean, you could make the exact same case with Anthony Richardson. I think we have a better team than Tennessee. I don't think that's a high standard. And I think Jacksonville has regressed. I mean, they lost Calvin Ridley, which is not good. They did sign some other pieces. They went out and signed a lot of people, but they kind of do that every year, and it hasn't really gotten them past the first or second round of the playoffs. So we'll see. I think it's a make or break it year for Trevor Lawrence. I think if he does not absolutely go off this year, that there is a chance that they move on from him, which would be absolutely crazy considering his pedigree when he was drafted. But we'll see. I think Texans are the clear winner right now, especially with this free agency that they've had. And I think it's a toss-up between us and the Jags for second. And I think that the Titans are last. But it's going to be a fun division, especially if Richardson and Levis work out. It's going to be really fun. But yeah, no, big signing for Houston with Danielle Hunter. At least they didn't sign Saquon too, because there was a rumor that they were going to get Saquon as well. And I was like, please, no. But they didn't get him. So at least we worked out there. But yeah, Danielle Hunter's a big signing for them. It's a good thing we have Braden Smith and Quentin Nelson because we're going to need them.
I think Houston's trying to make a Super Bowl push.
Feels like it.
That's what it seems like to me. I don't know about you guys, but they're like, look, we have the QB. Now we got to put, like Chris said earlier, the pieces around him.
And
if
I
we
mean,
can do
consider
that,
they didn't have Tank Dell in the playoffs.
no, they
So
didn't.
they're going to get
That's
Tank Dell back. They already have a pretty
crazy.
stacked offense generally. They could draft a tight end. I feel like they could take a tight end. I feel like that might be like the biggest hole on their offense. But like, no, they're for real. Like D'Amico Ryans is a great coach. CJ Stroud next year is probably going to be arguably an MVP candidate if he plays the same way he did this year or better. So they're going to be fun to watch. I'll never cheer for them, but you got to love Stroud. I mean, he's a strong Christian and he's a really nice guy. And, he played with Ohio State, which is gross, but, we'll move past that.
Yeah, no, I just think this is a great move for Houston and a necessary one if they're because really their defense wasn't that great. It wasn't
Yeah,
terrible,
it
but
was
it
it
needed
was
work.
fine.
But yeah, I mean, I think overall this is a good move.
You know who's still out there? Stephon Gilmore. He's still
Yes.
out there. He's still, and I know he's older.
You
And I
talk to
know
Cowboys
people,
fans, they'll say he was bad last year.
yeah,
wasn't
but
he?
then you look at who's throwing the ball, which he did great
An
until the
almost
playoffs.
MVP candidate the whole
Yeah,
season.
yeah,
Until
but
the
then
playoffs.
until the playoffs. I mean, like I said, and you tell me, Chelsea, you told me about UNCG having a great season, and I laughed. I said, you can have a
We
great
did
season.
until you started watching.
Oh, my bad. But when
Yeah.
you can have a great season, but it don't mean much when you go into the playoffs and then you lose right off the first round. And it's like you could have a great season. Like the Eagles could have gone like perfect, have or even the Chiefs. But if they lose to like a last seed, that's it's like you have this apex and you just fall straight to the earth. It's like it doesn't mean like the season doesn't mean anything. Yes, got you to the playoffs, but like most people are going to they don't think of, oh, this person had the season, but they think of it more of like who won this year, right? So that's what I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, Jerry Jones was quoted as saying, he's going to quote unquote go all in. And then there was
All
a
in.
quote not too long ago, like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, from his son. And they were like, hey, are you guys going all in free agency? And he was like, well, all in doesn't necessarily mean signing every free agent. It can mean retaining your own guys and building through the draft. And all the fans were like, are you serious? And I mean, They've done almost nothing. They were the last team remaining who had not signed a free agent. And they have now. They have signed someone now. But it's not been anything major. And they had a huge loss as well. I mean, they had a lot of players depart, but arguably the biggest one, I think, was Tyron Smith going to the Jets. The Jets over the Cowboys on a 1-year deal. Jerry Jones, how do you give up on your cornerstone O lineman for like $13 million to the Jets? Like, what? Like, Dak Prescott has lost him. He's lost Michael Gallup as well. They cut him. I mean, he's lost what, a third of his defense? Like, he's good during the regular season. Let me preface with that. But bro's gonna have no one left. He's gonna have CeeDee Lamb. And that's it.
All in.
So like I cannot. How do you lose Tyron Smith, who's been with the Cowboys for 10 plus years, to the Jets? The Jets? I can't. I'm not even a Cowboys fan, but I don't get that, dude.
When in New York, the bagels got to him.
Yeah, it was this New York style pizza and New York style bagels. He was like, you know what? I'm in. Texas says
10
terrible
years
pizza.
of my life, move on.
Terrible pizza in Texas. I'm moving to New York. That's just bonkers to me. Jerry Jones is going to wreck that franchise. I don't think he's a worse CEO than, our Mr. Favorite Panthers man, but he is up there. The Cowboys are never going to be relevant until someone else owns that franchise or runs it or makes decisions, no matter if they have Dak and CD and everyone else or not. They just, you can't win with 3 players. You can't win with 3 players. You just can't. Like, you can't win with CD and Dak, and that's it. Like, it's just not feasible.
Look, it's all funny, honestly. But thinking of that division, I would like to talk about what I also thought was a funny move. Mr. Saquon Barkley going from New York
Shocking.
Giants to the Eagles.
Shocking, dude.
Let's just say this. When he comes back to play in the New York Stadium, he will be booed.
Going to go off.
No, he will be booed to no end. Have you seen some of the stuff he's been saying? Like, he's been saying about how, like, happy he is to be an Eagle now, and like how he's been on the bad side of losing. He had a fight with like Tiki Barber.
Did you see his daughter's quote from today or yesterday? His daughter was like, "Dad, are we gonna win now?"
I think that's hilarious.
Dude.
I mean, even the daughter knows. I'm just
saying. Kick to the gut, bro. That's awful.
I am just saying, when he comes back, because he denied a $12 million contract because he wanted like $16 million. He wanted McCaffrey money, and they weren't willing to give it to him. Which, honestly, I mean, I don't think I'd pay Saquon McCaffrey money. I'd be hesitant to pay any running back money like that, because as we see, paying running backs normally doesn't work out for you. It works out for the 49ers because they aren't the ones who had to pay their running back. So I'm just saying that I think when Saquon comes back to New York, he will be booed to no end, because I think Giants fans loved him. They really did. He was their guy. And now he's on the rival Eagles, and I mean, it wasn't for like cheap for the Eagles, but also the Eagles needed him because they lost Swift this year. I mean, do they even run the ball to begin with? Not really. I feel like they didn't run the ball enough last year. They just try to overuse Jalen Hurts. So it's like, are they even going to do right by Saquon? Who knows? But I still think this was pretty funny. Everyone here is devastated, who is a Giants fan, and they were happy about Brian Burns and then had this as well. So it's like, well, this give and take. But I don't know. What did you guys think of this?
This really has been the free agency of teams switching within divisions. Like, actually, if you look at where people have gone, so many people have abandoned their team for an interdivisional rival, which is just funny to me because I feel like that doesn't happen that much. But no, I mean, if Saquon can stay healthy, he's going to be really good with the Eagles. Now, if he gets hurt, they're all going to hate him and then he's going to get booed in 2 places instead of 1. But if he stays healthy, he's going to pop off with the Eagles, even though they lost Jason Kelsey. And didn't someone else retire too? Didn't they have another lineman retire also? The Eagles? It wasn't just Kelsey, was it?
I don't remember.
Mhm.
Well, regardless, even if it is just Kelsey, I mean, he's the best center in the league retiring. So, we'll see what kind of production Saquon's going to get. But that RPO with Jalen Hurts throwing screens to Saquon is going to be gross. So here's to hoping that Saquon can stay healthy and just prove to Giants fans that he is worth what he got paid. Because if he gets hurt the first game, like I said, he's going to get booed in 2 places instead of 1, Philadelphia and New York. Yay.
Oh, is Fletcher Cox that retired?
Oh, yeah, I was thinking defensive line, which is also a big loss, but that doesn't affect Saquon Barkley. But great
What did
signing
you
for the
think of
Eagles.
this?
Definitely better than Swift.
Saquon going to a rival team. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the Giants stole from the Panthers, and yes, you're paying him what he wanted. Um, and here's a question to all the Giants fans. Why are you signing defense players when your offense sucks? Just gonna FYI. Like, don't get me wrong. Your Slayton is probably one of your like best wide receivers out there, and he shouldn't be. Like, homeboy is trying his best, but like there was a potential for Mike Evans to like throw the bag at him. Like I would have thrown $30 million. If you really need a wide receiver, throw money at him. Like goodness, like you. I think your quarterbacks are dying for a wide receiver or just a receiver that is competent. Saquon Barkley and one could say like, okay, well the run game, we'll do a run game, but like if the run game hasn't been working for these past couple of years, like maybe it's not just the run game. Maybe we should have some key offensive pieces. Maybe go for a tight end or you and yeah, y'all have like was his name Waller?
Yeah, Darren
And
Waller.
and like don't get me wrong, that I think that's fine, but like get some key pieces. Like
Like a
there's got to be
quarterback.
a quarterback or someone because like I think they have a good defense and I think they're trying for defense and I think defense helps, but
Well, that's Wink Martindale's specialty, isn't it?
yeah,
Defense. Yeah.
defense. But the thing is like you can have so much defense and you can slow them down, and maybe you can get a pick six every now and then. But it's not. You got to score. I'm sorry, unless you kick 50 million field goals and you have Tucker, just bombing it from the 60-yard line, you should be fine. But like that's not gonna happen. So with this is a huge loss for the Giants offense, and I
Let me
think this.
preface, Wink Martindale actually isn't with the Giants anymore. He's on Michigan. Sorry about that, guys.
Oh, okay. So like that being said, I think the signing to Saquon is good for the Eagles. I think it is a steal of a deal. I will say the Eagles are going all in. This is their all in moment because if they do not win a Super Bowl this year, it's just there's so many people that want money, and I think that's why they're pushing so hard on this. So I will say the Eagles fans, if y'all make it, it's your time. It's your time to shine with Saquon Barkley. I will say, Kelsey being gone, it is huge. Yes, he is a center, and yes, but he's one of probably the best center out there, and he retired, and now Fletcher Cox, yeah, he's gone, and you have Jalen Carter, who was a rookie last year, and he did a great job. So I think there will be some key pieces that are still out there. You could sign if you all can sign Stephon Gilmore, give him a chance, and just put him on. But he doesn't even have to be a starter. Just put him as depth chart. So that's what I think the Eagles should be going for, and this is their time, along with the Ravens. The Ravens are they are signing as many people as they can to win. So that being said, I think those teams they're saying we're tired of the Chiefs, we're tired of these people. We're going to be contenders, and this is an all-in moment. So that's what I'm going to
Yeah,
say.
and I mean, speaking of the Ravens, you want to talk about
Chelsea, your microphone sounds far.
Sorry. Speaking of the Ravens, you want to talk about a big running back signing? Can I just say that I thanked Jesus when Derrick Henry vacated the AFC South? That man has terrorized me for my whole life, it feels like. And him going to Baltimore is just insane. You think the RPO is going to be good in Philadelphia? No. Let me tell you where it's going to be the best with the Ravens. Are you kidding me? You have to stop Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry on the same team. Are they going to throw the ball? I don't know. I mean, they might not. Maybe not. I don't know. But that is crazy. You could not have a better free agent fit with a prospective team than Derrick Henry with the Ravens. What a great signing. And I mean, I know that they lost some players too, like Patrick Queen left and went to the Steelers, which again, interdivisional, which is crazy. But that offense is going to be crazy. Derrick Henry is going to run over people, hopefully. And hopefully it won't be me anymore because it's been me for like 10 plus years and I'm tired of it. He can go run over someone else twice a year, not me.
Yeah, I think that was a big move. And yeah, Baltimore's trying to go all in. They're trying to stop the Chiefs from three-peating. That's what they're trying to do. And I mean, like they really should have stopped them from repeating last year because the Chiefs didn't even play that well against the Ravens in that game in the AFC Championship. They didn't score a point in the second half. So Baltimore knows that they blew it. So yeah, they're trying to go all in now. They've really got to, and I mean, it's necessary. They need Derrick Henry because sometimes their offense in the playoffs just shuts down and everything freezes up. So having someone like Derrick Henry is a good way to make some things happen.
Here's to hoping he doesn't get another foot injury. That would be highly inconvenient.
I'm not touching him in fantasy.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little afraid too. As much as I tout him in real life, I'm a little afraid too.
Look, I
Take
picked
Bijan
him last year.
Robinson.
He was fine. Bijan Robinson,
You want to know
Mr.
who's never gonna touch Bijan Robinson again? My husband. After last year, he
Mr.
was
5 carries a
terrorized.
game.
He was terrorized by Bijan
It's
Robinson.
okay. I gave him a consolation prize of A-Chain.
Yeah, that was rough for you. But anyway,
Anyways, moving on. Let's see here. So I think, Mr. Chris, you have two here. We can talk about one of these. I mean, which do you find the more interesting here? I know you have a couple of things here.
Um, yeah, I have a few. Well, I guess we could talk about Sam Howell going from the Commanders to the Seahawks, which is
That's
interesting.
pretty big.
As to Geno Smith, he has uh, a contender in a way, but I'm just gonna say this. I think Sam Howell is gonna be trash. And the reason why, don't get me wrong, but Bieniemy is not his offensive coordinator. And I hate to say this. No, I don't mean to hate to say this. I think Bieniemy is a great offensive coach. I think he made Sam Howell as good as he is now, and Sam Howell has his moments. And yes, I think he had the highest record of sacks out there. But Sam Howell also had a lot of interceptions, yet again, but he had a lot of yards. And I think Bieniemy, I think he scheduled it up on the offense and did the best he could with what he had. But since Sam Howell is now going to Seahawks, and yes, he has now wide receivers. Wow, it's kind of crazy from McLaurin, Scary Terry to now Metcalf and Lockett. So I think it's the change in teams. But I think with Pete Carroll sort of being the background, and just seeing the new staff coming in, I think it's going to be interesting because Sam Howell, I think he has the thought of, I'm taking over Geno Smith's job, and he might. But the thing is, I don't think I think he's an average quarterback, to be honest, if not subpar. I think he came from UNC, overhyped, and a division where, it's not top the best of the best. and now he went to the NFL, and he probably went to one of the worst teams. Um, but I think with this sort of trade, I don't see it going very far. I think he'll sit on the Seahawks bench for a little bit and maybe play over Geno Smith, but I don't think he's going to be like a Mahomes deal or a top 10 quarterback. I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, I will say Seattle with, obviously Pete Carroll is not the head coach anymore, but he's still in the organization and he's still going to be very involved. I mean, it's not like Seattle doesn't have a track record of making guys good. Look what they did with Geno. Geno was going to be a backup for the rest of his career, and he revived his career with Seattle. So I don't think that it's impossible that Sam Howell goes here and is awful. I mean, I know that their new head coach, Mike McDonald, was a defensive coordinator with the Ravens. So, I mean, obviously that's a lot different than Eric Bieniemy. But, I mean, they have weapons, they have running backs, they have receivers, they have an at least average O-line. I mean, if you can cut Sam Howell's sack total in half from 65 to 35, he could be spectacular. I mean, I feel like we just can't really give a fair judgment on him with how little of time he had. And yes, he had a lot of interceptions, and yes, he made some notoriously bad decisions. And yes, he was sacked a lot, but bro threw a lot of touchdowns, and he had a lot of yards, and he could scramble too. So I think the jury is still out on Sam Howell. I was actually very surprised when they did this trade. I thought they were going to keep him as a backup in Washington, and I was surprised that they didn't. Because obviously they're going to take a quarterback, but I didn't think they were just going to get rid of Howell just like that. But they did, and we'll see. I mean, obviously he's playing in, one of the toughest, at least has probably one of the toughest teams in the division to play twice a year. The Rams are going to be bad. Seattle is and then the 49ers are like a juggernaut. So he's going to face, some stiff competition playing in that division. But I mean, I think that there's a chance that he turns out. I mean, 60, 65 sacks, that's like a Kwanu on a whole line for a whole year. And I know how much you guys don't like Icky Ekwonu. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like Sam Howell deserves at least one more year.
He has a 21 touchdowns, 21 interception. That's a pretty bad ratio.
Yeah, it still is a lot of touchdowns, though, for being sacked that many times.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's the thing. I think the yards comes from the offensive coordinator, and yes, I think the scheme how he plays, but I think he's the one that decides on throwing the ball, and those interceptions is scary because like Geno Smith had 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, which is a good ratio, had almost the same amount of yards. So I think coming here with being gone, I think it will definitely show if he's good or not in this team,
I
depending on
would be
how you.
interested to see how many interceptions he has because of pressure. Like, how many of those interceptions did he throw with a clean pocket versus when he was running around on 4th and 14 and trying to make a play? And you can look that up on, different sites and things at advanced statistics. But I would be interested to see how many of those were when he was under significant pressure or no. Because if most of them are under significant pressure or even half, I mean, that's still a lot. But I mean, I don't have those stats in front of me, obviously, so I can't look it up. But I'd be interested to know. So if any of you guys are listening, know that. Let us know because I'd be interested.
Look, everyone is high on the UNC quarterbacks at all times,
At
and
least over the last couple of years.
over the look we got good old Drake May. He's some people's first number one overall QB coming out the draft, and he's some people's last. And you know what? Kind of similar to Sam Howell. What
Yeah,
if they're the same
it's true.
quarterback? What if they're
What
the
if they
same?
are the same person? No, just kidding.
I'm just
But I
saying, what
mean,
if they turn out the same?
kind of in that same vein of young quarterbacks with potential getting traded, I feel like we would be remiss to not mention Justin Fields getting traded from the Bears to the Steelers for basically nothing, which is super
Free.
cool.
It was
Good job,
free.
Bears. Can I just say, Russell Wilson is probably going to be there, what, a year or two, maybe longer if he plays really
He has a
well.
1 year contract.
But they're probably going to try and extend him. I would be shocked if they didn't. Um, he'll probably be there 2, 3 years, maybe, if he plays really good. I personally am of the opinion that Justin Fields could steal that job. I think that he is with a coach and on a team that has a lot of potential right now, has gone
Play
out
them
and done a
both.
lot of signings. And I think that there's a real shot that Russell Wilson, if Russell Wilson comes out flat for 6 games, it would not surprise me if they gave it to Justin Fields. It really wouldn't.
No, no, no. Play them both. If one
Oh,
one
dual
has a
quarterback
bad
threat.
pass,
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
have
Cool.
two quarterbacks. Why
Yeah.
not? No one else does it. How are you going to
What the
game
heck?
plan for that?
It works in college. Why can't it work here?
Exactly. How are you going to game plan for that? Whose film are
Yeah.
you going to study? Both teams or both quarterbacks? No.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. They went from Kenny Pickett, who was very bad, to Russell Wilson, who no one expected him to go there, to now Justin Fields. It's going to be an interesting year in Pittsburgh. I'm very interested to see what happens with Justin Fields in Pittsburgh. I think Justin Fields has a real shot to cement himself as a starter with Pittsburgh. Now, will
It's
he? It's up for debate. There are questions, obviously, but I mean, of all of the teams everyone was expecting him to get traded to, this was not one of them. This was a
no.
surprise.
That's why they're going to play them both. Chris, you got to agree, right? Play them both. I don't see
Yeah,
the problem here.
play with the hot hand. That's is
Oh,
that
cool.
that's
It's like basketball. You just, whoever's shooting well that night, you put in. So in this case, whoever's throwing well that game, you put them in.
I mean,
Not
honestly,
impossible, I guess.
how Michigan back in the day when Tom Brady was in his college days, it was whoever the hot hand was, and they picked Tom Brady, and at that
Uh
point
huh.
he
Who
showed up.
actually was
So
relatively mid in
I will
college.
and
Exactly.
I will say this though, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields' playing style are totally different. And I think this is a new change coming from Ben. And Ben was a pocket passer, sat in the pocket and ate the pocket, as you could tell from his neck. And then um now having Russell Wilson, who's a pocket passer, to maybe transitioning into a run and gun sort of moment, I think it's a new change. I think the Steelers are opening a new book of seeing how maybe we can do a Lamar Jackson sort of ordeal. Maybe we can do a high motion offense. I think it will be an interesting look. I think they have some young bloods of Pickens, and I think they just need a few other key pieces that might help. But
They
I
also
think
have Fryermuth.
yes. So I think they have some good potential pieces. Now, I think the quarterback war as to how if Russell Wilson will start for the next couple of games and then they'll hand it off to Fields, I think that'll be interesting. But I think, yeah, the Steelers they robbed the Bears. The Bears, you robbed us from DJ Moore and then you're getting robbed so at itself. So but that also puts Caleb Williams at a higher pick. Um, so which makes everything interesting. I will say that. So, we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty undisputed. Williams is going to the Bears at this point.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. Caleb Williams is just, to me, it seems like he's the same sort of quarterback, just like Justin Fields, same sort of playing style. And yes, one could say, "Oh, well, Caleb Williams is better." Well, we won't know that until he touches the ball in the NFL because it is vastly different coming from college to the best of the best in the NFL. And you can, I mean, look at that. We thought, Bryce Young is going to be, oh, he's going to be one of the best out there. Well, when he touched the ball, it was over. But we don't know Caleb Williams, and I think their style is similar. I think he'll fit well. And DJ Moore will have yet another quarterback to throw to get hit on, and I think DJ Moore will do great. Um, but it's about time DJ Moore finds a team that is Super Bowl contender. And I'm going to say this: the Bears either, they have some good key pieces, but I'm not sure if they're Super Bowl ready. I'm not sure. They need to work things out for these next couple of years. But by then, I think DJ Moore will move on and try to actually find a team. He could go back to
Kansas
he
City.
no to the Eagles. I don't think he'll go to
Baltimore.
the Chiefs for some reason. They don't want top wide receivers. They'll take like Marquise Brown washed up, or they'll take other people off the streets. But no, big name, nah. I don't know why.
Wait, didn't they trade like a first to get Kadarius Toney?
I don't think did they? No, they didn't. I don't.
It
The
wasn't. Maybe it
Kadarius
wasn't
Tony
a
was.
first.
I don't think it was a
It
first.
definitely was not a first.
Kadarius Tony was like going out through the door anyway. So, um, but yeah, homeboy needs to either A get cut or B needs to get
It
traded
was
too. So,
sorry. It was a third round pick.
Yeah. I mean, regardless though, excellent
Fleece,
trade for the Steelers. The
fleece.
Steelers either get Justin Fields and he ends up being awful and they gave up a late pick for him and it doesn't matter, or they get Justin Fields and he ends up being really good and they give up nothing to get him and then the Bears will hate themselves like normal. So I mean, regardless, you have to be relatively happy as a Steelers fan.
I agree with that.
And kind of in that same vein, I feel like we have to mention this last guy of Kirk Cousins going to the Falcons. Man, the Falcons have the NFC South on lock
Well, they said that last year, didn't they?
with Desmond Ritter. I
Yeah,
think
they
Kirk
did.
Cousins is better than Desmond Ritter.
No, no. Everyone said they were like, nah. Atlanta's got this division locked. Tampa's terrible. Panthers are terrible, which they were right about that one.
To be fair,
Um,
though, they should have, and their coach was just awful and didn't know how to use their offense.
yeah. And he's going to guess where? Pittsburgh, where we just said that there's a chance. So, we'll
That's
see.
fair.
But
But
I
no,
think
Kirk
this
going to the
move
Falcons
makes
is
sense. I think
really
it's a
good
good
signing.
move. I mean, yeah, even
Yeah.
though he's like older, he's still good enough to, put them in a winning position. He will be an upgrade. I think as long as there's no injuries, he's just a definite upgrade, a bona fide upgrade. And now they don't have to worry about, oh, do we draft a QB now or something like that. They can just go play. They because they've been lacking at QB recently. So now at least they have a solid QB to work with. And they have weapons. I don't know who they're gonna pick. Um,
No telling. Probably
I
defense, I would think.
I feel like they'd go all in on their offense at this point. But
I mean, it's possible. I feel
I
like
I
there are. Go ahead.
no, I don't think Marvin Harrison will be there. Probably not. Although there's people saying he's gonna drop. I don't think he will. I think a team is gonna be like, I will take him. Um, but I don't know. I could just see them drafting more offense. They've done it before. They drafted Kyle Pitts when they needed help at like everything else. Even I'm not saying Kyle Pitts is bad. He's good. And he'll probably help them this year. So it may work out. But at that time when they got him, everyone's kind of like, huh, that's that's certainly a move. I guess you're going all in on Matt Ryan, huh?
I
I
feel like there are three MVPs of this signing. Number one and two are Kirk Cousins' sons because they got their own chains. Gotta love that.
The
And
chain.
number three is Kirk Cousins' agent. I don't know if you guys saw the rant that Cam Newton went on about Cousins getting paid this money with the amount of playoff wins and experience he has, but his agent must just have an in because bro got paid and he's never made it anywhere significant in the playoffs. So shout out to his agent. Good for you, Kirk. I hope you succeed.
I agree with that. Yeah, his agent has made bank at Minnesota and now here.
And Washington, I think. Or that might have
I
been
don't think
before.
he made that much money there, but
He
he
got him
did.
out of Washington, though.
Yeah, honestly, that was the bigger that was the bigger
Yeah.
deal, right?
Got him away from Dan Snyder, and his life has been flourishing ever since.
True. But Chris, what did you think of this?
of Kirk Cousins. I mean, like I said, I think time will tell. Honestly, I think it will be interesting because maybe they'll actually use Kyle Pitts. I think who is a great tight end, but the thing is, they have Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts to throw to, so it's
And
really just
Drake London.
and Drake London, and so it comes to the point of like, well, I think Kirk Cousins will succeed in this sort of offense, hopefully, as long as the O line will hold up. And I think it will take some time to trust his teammates because I think he trusted Justin Jefferson. He threw it out there knowing that he's out there somewhere, right? And I think he needs to sell that with Kyle Pitts, saying like, you're out there somewhere. I'm going to throw it to you confidently. You just got to go up. And I think Kyle Pitts, this is his moment of actually breaking out or being a disappointment, to be honest, because it's just like,
I
yes, we
agree.
didn't have Desmond Ritter throwing to him 20 million times last year, but I think if Kyle Pitts really asks for like a bunch of money after his rookie year, and he has nothing to back up on that this year, I think it's time to, and this might be selfishly, but hopefully he'll go to the Panthers. But
That's
um
the spirit.
hey, if everyone else can go to in the same division and just screw up everyone else, we might as well make an enemy out of Kyle Pitts anyways, because he's already he already tried to make a discussion of number 8 since Kirk Cousins also wore number 8. So Kyle Pitts, if you didn't see, tweeted out, was like, who, um, I'll trade the number 8 if I get more targets. So we'll see. We'll see. Officially, right now, Kirk Cousins is number 8, and Kyle Pitts will pick a new number. So I think I don't have too high expectations for Atlanta since they screwed up Bijan Robinson's career of
Dang,
potential
career?
potential
I wouldn't go
of
that
not
far.
career, but I was saying his year
I was
of.
like, dang, man, 1 year.
I mean, don't get me wrong, but if I was Bijan Robinson and I had the chance of breaking like stats and you're holding me back, I would lose a bit of self-confidence in myself, to be honest. Like if I'm like, my coach is not letting me run and not letting me just free range, and I'm going to beat these records for this franchise, and he's holding me back, I'm like, I would question myself a little bit of like, what do they see potential in me? Because like if they don't allow me to do what I need to do, then what, that self-confidence goes into next year. So that's why the mentality of your running backs and your players do make a difference, because you either instill confidence in them or they're afraid. So
Remember when he rushed for like 8 yards against the Panthers in
Best
like
game ever.
in
Conlon
a
was
game
so
that no one
mad,
showed
dude.
up to?
He was so mad. He was sitting on the couch the whole time fuming.
it
And
was it was pretty
I
bad.
honestly felt bad for him. Like how do you only get 8 yards against the Panthers?
See, this is why, guys.
That's
This is
that's like
why sports
try and
gambling
get
apps are popular.
it's like try and get more than 8 yards. Challenge impossible. What's that game?
And then you have Algier literally having more touches than you. And
Yeah,
it's like, why in the
it's
world are
rough.
you letting someone who, you drafted Bijan Robinson for this position? And it's like benching him says, it's okay. We have, Algier, who is not as good as you and is more of a receiving back, but we're still going to use him more than you. It's just like, really? Really? And that's the funny
They,
part. If they let Algier, and he'll get like maybe 5 yards, and then Bijan Robinson would get like 15 yards, but they would still use Algier. And it was like, what's the point? Do you not see stats? Like, wait a second, but
no, no, no,
Here's
no.
to
I guess I
hoping
Girl,
their
can't
new
no.
count.
coach is not like that.
We hope not.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think that's pretty much all we have time for today. So, Chelsea, do you want to wrap us up in our outro?
Yeah, so thanks for listening, guys. Tune back in next week for more content because we are back. In the meantime, follow us on Twitter at LaunchCodesFB and on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at LaunchCodesFootball. I'm Chelsea,
And I'm Chris W.
And I'm Chris P.
and we will see you next week. Bye.
See ya.
Go